Yes, hi everyone. My name is Dimitri Koulafetis, and I'm gonna ask you all this question: should you be arrested by the police? Would make any difference if you were not arrested by the police? Well, there's a lot to be taken into consideration. Why you should not be arrested by the police? Why you should be avoided being arrested by the police? Well, the police can would be a good answer would be by basically um, saying when mentioning when the police can arrest you. So the police can arrest you when they have reasonable suspicion that you have committed a crime, and also they can arrest you when they get a warrant from a judge. Now, when basically those are the means that they can arrest you. Those are the legal processes that they have to follow to arrest you. A reasonable suspicion could be anything more than a hunch. Could be information that they have from other law enforcement agencies. Could be reports. Could be stuff that fits every individual circumstance, and it varies according to the crime that is being allegedly committed. Um, Now, reasonable suspicion, of course, is more unregulated than a warrant, and this is why arresting you upon reasonable suspicion makes the police sometimes think twice, and this is because they can be even individually prosecuted, or the crime can be prosecuted, and they can be in they can find themselves in a lot of trouble if they have detained you, if they have arrested you. While they're arresting you, they are detaining you. That means they deprive you of your physical autonomy. They deprive you of your physical movements. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't make a difference if they throw you in a cell or they don't, or they just take you to take you to the police station without your consent, telling you that you are under arrest. And therefore, because you're under arrest, that means that you cannot leave. Because if you leave, that means you're going to be arrested for failing to comply with the officer's wishes. So the officer can find himself in a lot of trouble because perhaps he couldn't have, under the circumstances, exercised his his thoughts, exercised his decision logically. However, with a warrant, it's issued by a judge. It's a more experienced professional. I wouldn't say more experienced, but he's a legal expert in his field. He follows certain laws and certain rules and common law as well. And the police is more backed up when they issue the warrant, unless they have largely lied in that warrant and they have misled the judge. When you mislead the judge, then again, you can be in a lot of trouble for the detainment, because following the arrest, you detain the person. And you can be liable in damages and can cause you a lot of trouble. So, but should you be arrested? Why should you avoid being arrested in the first place? Well, when the police arrest you, especially in the UK, according to the laws of England and Wales, they do have a right, according to the crimes that you have committed, to keep you in a cell, or if there's no evidence, if there's no evidence against you, they have to dismiss you. If there seems to be evidence, though, according to the Police and Criminal Evidence Act and other um, acts, they can release you if they want to on bail. They can hold you up until 24 hours, let's say maximum 36 hours with certain exceptions if they apply to the court. If you're a terrorist, that's more. It's like more hours. But it's focused now on the majority of the crimes. No terrorist act comes into play. They can release you on bail. What does that mean? That doesn't mean that you're not under arrest. That means that they have released you, and they can impose conditions on you. They can impose conditions such as holding your passport, demanding some money from you, like guarantees, that you do not talk to certain people, that you do not visit certain places, and they can impact very negatively your life. Then they can, whenever they bring you back to the station, they have the let's say the rest clock, because they have up until, let's say, the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, 24 hours. The worst case scenario, I'm sorry, 24 hours to detain you. The clock just continues, goes on and on and on, taken away. That's why they do prefer releasing you while they gather information. They gather information about you. What an arrest is basically the ability to detain you in some way, so that your liberty to interact fully with anyone around you will not curtail, it will not stall the police's efforts in investigating a crime. It has been characterized as phishing by a lot, since the police just keep on fishing information. It's when they release you on bail. But on the other hand, by arresting you and keeping you in a cell, they can really play on you. They can play on the psychological part of you. They can instill fear in you that you might spend the entire night with other professional criminals that will be negatively inclined towards you, that may hurt you savagely, beat you if you do not talk to them. They can play all those games. Of course, you can later on trying to suppress through emotion, or through a preliminary hearing, or through a hearing within a hearing, that say that all those things that happened, and the fact that they violated your due process rights, the fact that they didn't do things correctly, should result in evidence being dismissed against you. However, that's not a real point, because if you wait to go until that stage, things may happen to you. It's not always that the judge might dismiss evidence, because if they're relevant, they might decide that no procedural, no prejudice has occurred, regardless of any due process violations of your rights. So what can you do about that? Especially when they can play against you, when they can play with your time because you want to go back to your house, want to see your wife, your kids. You got other underlying problems that they don't know of. They suppress you because you're sensitive. You want to be over and done with it, because you don't want to talk about what happened, because it might be a highly sensitive incident according to you, and you really don't want to divulge that kind of information to anyone. So on the one point, you do have your right to remain silent, and on the other one, you might be feeling sick. You might be at that time not feeling too well, wanting to go back to your home, There are a lot of various situations that might occur at that time. You might not even want to spend, and that's not basically that's the most important um, scenario of it all. You really don't know what lies behind those sales. You don't know. Why would a respectable citizen want to spend his days or some nights in there, locked up, just because the police has the power to do so? So the even the the fact that you're gonna be detaining them, they can detain you legally, is uh, a lot of work later on, and it's definitely not forthcoming, not preemptive. If let's say you have ended up in custody and custody has hurt you physically or mentally in any way, so what can you really do to avoid an arrest? I'll give you some more food for thought. What happens if the police gets violent against you? Of course, if you do try and resist the police, they can definitely arrest you for an offense. Well, what happens when the police is basically exceeding its its powers, and they are abusing you in the worst way possible? Should you protect yourself, or should you just let them hit you until they finally might permanently damage you or somehow inflict any form of damage on you until it's too late for you to do anything about it? Definitely a lawsuit against a policeman who's out of his head and who does not think rationally in terms of um, being punished about his acts will not really do anything. Should you resist yourself when they are assaulting you, when they are battering you? Well, one thing of describing this is that if they do become aggressive against you, either way, you're gonna be arrested. So I don't really think it's going to make things worse by trying to protect yourself against a policeman who has forgotten his policeman's status and has transgressed into the status of a criminal mind, of a hooligan, someone who wants to hurt you under the guise of a authority figure. Criminals are on the rise. That's true. We're going through really difficult um, and hard financial times, but that doesn't give the authorities the right to mistreat people or suspects in any way. So, what can you do to avoid an arrest? How should you react when you are being stopped by a authority figure in the street, as not to make matters worse? I find that interesting. Your mental and bodily integrity are at stake. Could be anyone stopping you. Could be me, under the guise of a police uniform. I'll see you in my next video. I will intend to extend on that. This is Dimitri from Lafetes, and today we talked a little bit about criminal law. Thanks.